Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's reading is going to be about how to step into the best version of yourself. So what I mean by that is that the version of you that feels the most aligned, that resonates and feels expansive and abundant and good. And I think it's very easy to go about your life and feel as though you're not aligned, or there's a lot of resistance, or you do things that you think you should be doing. And there can be multiple reasons for this and totally valid. But today we're just going to see maybe there's something standing in your way to being a better version of you, or the best version that you feel is best for you. So for those who are new to a pick a card reading, basically it's you pause the video, you pick a pile that resonates the most with you, and go down to the description below and click on the timestamps. So this is pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. And if you want to choose with crystals on top, I will now add them. So here are the different crystals: a coral, a fluorite, and an amethyst. So feel free to pause the video and I'll see you in the reading. Thank you. Hi everyone, welcome to pile 1. If you've picked this pile, this will be your reading about how to step into the best version of yourself. So I've already explained it in the intro, but basically the best version of yourself in this definition is feeling really aligned with yourself, feeling abundant and expansive, as like that you're feeling that you're making the progress that you want and it feels soul aligned. So there might be some blockages we're going to see in today's reading. If this gem called to you, this is a coral. And usually I think it's related to the root chakra, it would be, since of the color. So that's good to do with grounding or safety. I have a feeling this is also to do with confidence, but might have to look that up. But yes, this is a coral. So let's get into your reading today. Okay, so you got the 10 of Cups, you got the 8 of Pentacles, you got the King of Swords, and you got the Page of Wands. Okay, this is quite interesting. So you got one of each of the suits. So that's quite interesting that you have such a variation. I also can't help but feel that there's a bit of a journey going on here, like how you go from the cups and then yeah, you have more people here, and obviously here there's like some similarity between having a person facing this, but obviously different meanings, but there's something there that feels very like there's a similar pattern. Okay, so let's get into this. So 10 of Cups is quite a favorable card in the tarot because it has to do with reaching your goals and feeling, well, I guess feeling really aligned, but not only with yourself, but also family, and there's all this like joy that comes from it. So you could be entering a time, I think what's really calling out is just that like all this water is pouring and it feels as though they're feeding each other. And there's this sense that community is really important to you. And it's something that feeds each other. It gives life. And it's like one contribution is filling someone else's cup, and that is like keep going. And then, you know, I know it looks like it's just running out, but it's going into the wider ocean. And that you are making a difference. Like the ocean is, let's say if it's society, you know, something on a big scale. And it's like you're doing this one contribution within your community, but that is actually making a difference in wider society. Like that's what that card kind of, that's the vibe I'm getting. You might be feeling this maybe on a smaller scale, but I think there's this sense that you find purpose in this service, with helping others, but also in the community, in the sense of community. And yeah, I quite like that there's these water droplets. I feel like there's a lot of motion there. Cool. Yeah. Also, like, I know that there's cracks here, but I feel like that's in the positive sense of like you are making a difference. There's some disruption going on, and disruption can inherently be a good thing because without change, things stagnate. So, yeah, I think many of you are either in this or it's coming. But I actually feel for most of you, you're in this already. Okay, so the next is Eight of Pentacles, which is about hard work. It's about, or no, I shouldn't say hard work. It's about working hard. It's like you're very, I was about to say passionate, but I think it's that idea that you are focused on what you need to do and you are putting the effort in. And like this person working here, it's like, you know, they could have just done one and been enough, but it's this idea that like, no, you have to sit here and do the hard work, but you want to do the hard work. So this could be also very linked to this community sense that you're here to put in the hard work and you're not scared of it or shying away from it. Okay, so the King of Swords. I should have also mentioned that Cups is linked to emotions. So I wonder if there, yes, I was talking about the community, but on another layer, it could also be emotionally very fulfilling. Pentacles does speak to the earthly realm, so it could be money, could be things, but it's that idea that I think like you putting in hard work is kind of linked to that, if that makes sense. In the sense that you're doing something. Maybe if you're not doing something tangible, but that hard work is paying off and there's some, I don't say evidence of it, results that come. Yeah. So then swords is linked to intellect and thinking, ideas, and a king, if you think of the archetype of a king, it's, you know, it's a ruler, it's someone who's very much in their masculine energy. Masculine energy can represent, it's also linked to thinking, because I guess a sword is, you know, like a phallic symbol, so that is very linked. It's about taking action, doing, thinking. So I do think that you're someone who, let me see what the card's saying. I do have a feeling this is more you. So sometimes these cards can represent someone in your life or you. I think this is more you. I think that there might be all these like distractions coming up around, like these sandbags to me is really jumping out. And I wonder if it's that there is all of this like distraction around you, because this looks very distracting, but you're very focused. You have your goal in mind. You know what you want to do. Sometimes it can feel a little bit like you're sinking in it. Like I'm looking at the sand and, you know, this king is very lodged into the sand, but I think that's not stopping you. You're very focused because you know where you want to go. And then here, Page of Wands. So Wands is linked to fire, is linked to taking action, doing. Often a page, the archetype of a page, is someone who is maybe new to a skill. So if you think of like an actual page, that's someone who's learning the ropes, who maybe needs a mentor. So they're very new to maybe the craft or position that they're in. But they're, yeah. I have a feeling that like this person isn't necessarily young. They're just new at something. So you might be learning a new skill and you might be taking action on this new chapter of your life. Like there's something new that you're doing and you're taking action, and I think it feels very right. Kind of lights you up. I think also what's kind of jumping out at me is like there's the similarity between these two. I guess it's because it's the person facing. But what I think is interesting is like this is light and this is dark, and there's almost this sense of like this is how the outer world sees you. This is obviously also a part of you, but this king energy is maybe how you've been for a long time, and this is something that you have um, mastered. Whereas maybe there's another part of you that wants to learn this new skill, and you've kind of kept it a little bit secret, or maybe not secret, just on the down low. And maybe it's this idea that like you've always been known for this King of Swords energy, and you are wanting to try something new, like try a new hobby, maybe a career change for some of you. And you've started taking action, looking into it, maybe even like started learning these new skills. But as of now, you're kind of keeping it on the down low because you're a beginner at it and you just want to see where it goes. But it is something that's really lighting you up, hence why, I'm looking at the candles. And you are still very much this King of Swords energy. It's just that you're expanding into this new era that you want to try and see where it takes you. I also kind of like that there's a ship at the back, which I guess maybe also goes into the, like, there's a lot of water theme going on here. But you're definitely someone who's not afraid of hard work. And I think you see such value in community, being there for others, being of service to others. And you have your goals. You're just also learning something new. So this could also be, I talked about stepping into the best version of yourself. This could maybe also be what you aspire to be. Maybe for some of you, depending on where you are in your journey, you already have some of these attributes. Maybe also for some of you, you have them but want more of it or want to aspire to this. But maybe, yeah, I think there's a sense of like, this is what really speaks to you, someone who has these qualities. And I think deep down, you know that you have these qualities. Even if they don't feel so obvious in your life right now, deep down they are there. And yeah, it's just about putting in that hard work to get there. Cool. So I have some more cards for you. I'll just go get them. Okay, so I have oracle cards. So, sanctuary. In my inner sanctuary, I connect to peace, inner quietude, and comfort. Wow. I can't help but feel like this is part of your sanctuary. Doing this new skill. Like, there's this sense of, like, this really lights you up, and it, like... Yeah, it's your sanctuary. It's something that you do away from people. Like, although you love being around people, or, yeah, you have a love for people, there's this need to, yeah, feed yourself in this way. And I don't mean literally feed yourself. Feed your soul. Oh, friendship. Oh, I love this. It's so linked. Friendship. I am deeply grateful for the gift of friends. My appreciation for them is endless. Listening to my body. My health is my life, the temple of my experience, and the greatest of my blessings. So let's see. I know I already spoke about this. And also I'm just realizing that, like, I love that there's this light here. And also in the candle, there's a bit, like, I just can't help but feel like this is the face once they take off the sheet. But I just love that there's this sense of there's this light here and here in the same position. And I think that your sanctuary is internal. It's very much linked to where you feel safe. Obviously, physical safety and external safety is very, very important. But this idea of a sanctuary, it's your inner sanctuary. And that's where you really connect with your peace and your inner quietude and comfort. And for those of you that maybe feel so detached from that right now, that maybe you don't feel connected to your inner sanctuary or peace, this is your sign to really connect with yourself in whatever way you feel calls to you. So for some, it could be meditation. Meditation is a practice though, so I would say that it can take some time to form a habit and to really feel the effects of it. But once you do, you can maybe tap into the sanctuary easier. But for some, maybe it's just doing an activity that makes you forget about time. That time doesn't matter, you get lost in it. And it's that idea of reaching mindfulness. So yeah, I think for you it is very much linked to, I think there's an encouragement of continue doing this because this is really aligned with you and it's your sanctuary. And there, part of me is like, there's nothing better than peace and comfort, and giving that to yourself internally is so important because you're internally also validating yourself and you're able to, again, feed yourself, feed your soul in a way that you're not reliant on other people to do for you. You have it in your own hands. It's very empowering. For some reason, the eyes are also really calling to me. Oh, I don't really know what. Maybe for some of you, it's a visual. This is a visual hobby, maybe. Oh, I don't know. But for some reason, the eyes just jumped out at me. Maybe for some of you, it'll resonate more than others what that means. I guess it's that idea also of seeing clearly. It's like maybe through this hobby or through this new activity that you're doing, you're tapping into your inner sanctuary, but you also feel like you're able to see clearly. You're able to see things that didn't always make so much sense before. Now, okay, friendship. I am deeply grateful for the gift of friends. My appreciation for them is endless. And I think this is such an important practice gratitude is such an important practice. And be grateful for the community that you have. And I just love that it was kind of what I saw in the Ten of Cups here, that community, friendship, to you it brings so much abundance. Like here with the peppers, even the bird, I think there's like, even like looking at their faces, there's this sense of just calm. And something so grounded and like solid. It's like the foundation. Yeah. I can't help but feel a bit emotional around this, that there's this sense of the beauty of friendship and community. And I think you really do feel like you're making a difference. Or for some of you, maybe you aspire to make that difference and know that community is a very big part of that. And I guess there's also this encouragement of also having your alone time to be able to tap into your sanctuary, see things clearly, and make that space for you, for yourself. And have that balance also with your friends, with the friendship. Now, listening to my body. My health is my life, the temple of my experience, and the greatest of my blessings. So I will always say that our bodies carry so much wisdom. It just knows a lot. And sometimes it's about tapping into that and really listening and really deciphering what our bodies are trying to say. And I think what I also love is like the owl. Like she's balancing this orb of light and this owl. And I can't help but feel like the owl, it's known for its wisdom. And I guess that's what the body represents. It's this, your inner owl kind of. And I think maybe you are someone who is very much cerebral and thinks a lot. So maybe it's also about finding that balance of listening to your body and tapping in. But I do think that when you find your inner sanctuary here, it might be easier for you to then also listen to your body. And this could also just be an encouragement of, yes, value intellect. Yes, value thinking and being cerebral, but don't forget the body. Because the body will say things, and even if it doesn't make any sense, there's wisdom there. Okay, I have more cards. Let me get them. Okay, so I'm just going to move these up. So we have growth. I also have a quote at the back, so I'll read that. Evolution starts when you leave your comfort zone. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Oh, interesting. Decision. Sometimes the best decision is no decision at all. Okay, that's interesting. And patience. It is safe to wait. Okay, so this is quite interesting. Let's see how it all ties together. So I'm going to start with the growth card. I wonder that when you're in this period of growth, the need for you to have this inner sanctuary is all the more important. Because this is going to be your grounding force, the stability. And I think there is a bit of this encouragement of growth because it has there is something that's very present here, growth. It's you working hard. It's you also starting as a page. And obviously as a page, you want to then progress. And I can't help but feel also like listening to your body, there's some kind of growth, something related to the growth as well. And I wonder if it's a bit like you need to start making changes in your life. And by listening to your body is going to help you make, well, decisions, but also help you move forward. And that will bring growth. And it's this idea of, evolution starts when you leave your comfort zone. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And also what really strikes me about the quote at the back is evolution. I guess when I heard evolution, I thought of revolution. And I guess that was not so linked, but it kind of reminded me of this card. This sense that you are working towards something that's going to shake the foundation. And there's this want for revolution. Or maybe it's not that hardcore as a revolution. Maybe it is just an evolution. But you want something to foundationally change, and you and your community are working towards that. And it doesn't have to be like societally. Maybe it's like in the organization you work, you think foundationally they have to make some shifts. Maybe it's within your own family. Like it doesn't have to be this huge revolution, we're going to change the world. If that doesn't call to you, it doesn't have to be that big scale. It could be minor, but still impactful. And still something that you feel very called to do, that really resonates with you. And this is about you stepping into your best version of yourself. And you also maybe, again, there's this idea of aspiration, like that I mentioned. Maybe for some of you, you are aspiring to get there. And to be able to get there, you have to grow. Wait, I feel like there's more to say. I also wonder if, like, this is your comfort zone, this King of Swords, because you've progressed to this place. You have mastered it. And when you master something, you're obviously comfortable with it. But being a page, that's uncomfortable because you're learning. You're used to being in your comfort zone, but now you have to step out. And you're stepping out also because it feels aligned, but it's obviously scary. So I think it's this idea that you need to get used to being uncomfortable. And it can be a really icky feeling. But it's this idea that it's something that will lead you to being more you, being your best version. So yeah, keep on growing. Cool. So decision. So it was sometimes the best decision is no decision at all. Now, I don't really know. Obviously, for some of you, this might really resonate because there might be something that's you feel you have to decide on. There's maybe this pressure, and obviously, it's kind of advising that you're putting this pressure to make a decision, but really, maybe sometimes you just don't have to make a decision. And maybe there's a little bit of this idea of leaving it up to the universe, or, you know, knowing that if it's meant to be, the universe, if you believe in that, will sort you out. But I kind of feel it's linked to this listening to my body, that you have maybe historically made decisions mainly with your head, and maybe there's a bit of this call for the balance between your head and your body. And it's about really listening to both and honoring both. Sometimes I will say your body just has a lot of wisdom. And even if it doesn't make sense, sometimes that is just the best answer to you. However, I can also understand the want to also bring in your mind. So it's about finding that balance that works best for you. If you feel like it should be a 30-70 split, that's the best balance for you then, because that's what you feel is aligned in your decision making. But I would say if you only make cerebral decisions or decisions with your head, it might not be aligned to you, because you might lead with what you think is best, but really maybe doesn't feel the best or intuitively is the best. And I think it's about balancing those two things. I often have a theory like that, I believe we have souls. So it's a bit like we have our higher selves, our soul selves, and we have to balance it with our human self. And our human self is the one with the ego, with wounds, the thinking mind. So it's about coming up with that balance of what is aligned with me on a soul level, but also me as the human, because I'm both. You're both. So yeah, there's a bit of this coming through. I also kind of like the stars. I feel like that's very abundant. There's like a abundance in your approach to make decisions. And then we have patience. I do like how cuddly this feels. Again, this feels a bit like a sanctuary. It's like very cuddly, cozy with a cat. It is safe to wait. I wonder if also for some of you that there is this impatience to get, well, I guess either to get here to what you aspire, but also to get to the growth. For this to become, for you to become better at this, whatever this is for you. And I think this card is just very much a reminder of be patient. The time will come. You're putting in the hard work, you're doing it. You're disrupting the foundations, but you do just have to lead with patience. Not everything's going to make sense at once. And it's okay to wait. It's okay not to always run to the next thing. Even though often we'd want to. So yeah, I think this is just the reminder that as you go through this journey, it's okay to be patient. It's okay for things to take its time. It's also maybe a good reminder to enjoy the journey. That's not always about the destination. I often think like when you're working towards an evolution or a revolution, there must feel like so much meaning in that journey, that you have such purpose. And those maybe are some of like the best memories. And then the event happened, and that can be great too. But yeah, the journey means something. So this has been your reading today, Pile 1. I hope it's resonated. Definitely leave me a comment down below to say how you found the reading. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me here today. I really appreciate it. Bye. Hi everyone, welcome to Pile 2. If you've chosen this pile, this is your pile about how to step into the best version of yourself. And I already explained it in the intro, but I'll re-explain it here, that the best version of yourself is the version that you feel is most aligned, that you feel expansive, that you feel abundant, and things just feel like they're flowing for you. So there might be some blocks in the way, or this reading might reveal the aspiration of what is the best version for you. So we can get into it and see what the cards have to say. But before that, if you pick this, pile 2, this is your gem, and this is a fluorite, for those of you who are called to pick this gem. And this is specifically a rainbow fluorite, so maybe it's a bit hard to see, but it does have multiple colors in it, especially when I hold it up to the light. And this stone is really good for, said actually to improve mental activity. It's great for emotional healing, chakra healing as well, and can increase your intuition. So for those of you who have felt called to that, you can also look up more of the meaning behind it. So let's get into your cards. Oh, you got the Lovers. Okay, Queen of Pentacles, Three of Swords, the Empress, and then we have one more. I think you got a bonus card, pile 2. King of Wands. Okay. Let's see what it is trying to say. I do like that you got a queen and a king. Got the Empress. I usually like to see like if there's anything that's like as a whole what's jumping out. I do think it's interesting that like this one color wise looks quite different from the other two, and it's in the middle. But other than that, yeah, the others, I mean, like these have a bit of like similarity with the grass, and then this I feel like the yellow has really picked up. But yes, let's get into the reading and look at each card. So, the Lovers. I think what's really standing out to me is the sun. I think it's like there's this like the sun in tarot often represents authenticity, feeling really aligned with yourself. And for some of you, you might be in a position where you have a lover, or you're in a relationship, or there's someone who has caught your eye that feels really authentic to you, that feels really aligned. Someone you'd kind of like move mountains for. So this union, I think, yeah, it just feels really aligned. If there's more to say, we'll come back to this. But for now, let's come to the Queen of Pentacles. I think that this is basically saying that like you're at a stage where you feel really abundant. And so the Pentacles represents the earthly realm, and it often represents things or money, and there's just this sense of abundance. Even grapes, that can be like a symbol of abundance. If you think of like the Greek gods feeding, I was gonna say feeding each other grapes. I don't know if they fed each other, but had someone feeding them grapes. I love that the mountains are still around. So you're in a stage where you feel really abundant. And a queen, the archetype of a queen, it's someone who really, sits in their feminine power. Feminine qualities include being really attuned to your body, being like at peace with your body in a sense. Often we can forget about our body because we live in a society that is so focused on thinking and the intellect and making decisions with your head. But it's also about finding that balance between your body and your mind. But I think this is someone who's really dropped into that feminine power. and feels abundant in that state. So yeah, I mean, look at all this gold. Okay, so 3 of Swords. So in the traditional tarot, 3 of Swords does mean heartache. And it is interesting because I know we have the Lovers here, but I don't want to scare people. I don't want you to think that, oh, this is so aligned, and then heartbreak. Heartbreak doesn't have to only come from romantic relationships. You can experience heartbreak from friendships or from, you know, a job. You were trying to get a new job and the offer fell through. I've also realized in life, even when things are going well and they're so aligned, you can still experience heartache because those are your wounds. So this could be going really strong, but you could still experience heartache because you have attachment wounds, or you have wounds that haven't been dealt with in the past, and they are causing you pain now. But on the surface of things are going fine. So I think I'm saying that also just as a reassurance of like, don't be scared of this card. And I do think as I lay it out, I personally was a bit like, oh my God, is this the elephant in the room? What's this trying to say? But I think sometimes you just have to tackle that elephant in the room. Like not actually tackle, but like tackle the issue at hand that, okay, this is here. It's a little uncomfortable, but why is it here? What's it actually trying to say? And it doesn't have to mean all doom and gloom. Okay, but what is it actually trying to say? There is obviously some darkness here because clouds, it's raining, and there is maybe something like, yes, this is going amazingly. There is something that is like aligned. You feel abundant. And if you don't feel this now, this is in your future. This is what you aspire for. And I always think that if you aspire for it, you're capable of getting it. But this card, I think, is maybe almost like the balance to this. Like, yes, all of this can be going so well, but maybe this is this idea that internally you have to also keep looking at your wounds, looking at the heartache that already exists, and understanding yourself better, understanding maybe your shadow self if you do shadow work. I'm a big encourager of doing the inner work. I think that is my take on this. It's like you can have everything externally, but unless you do the internal work, you won't be able to appreciate this, even if it feels really aligned, even if you feel really abundant. And, you know, both can be true, but you still maybe have to experience the pain of your wounds, because it's only through that is where you can grow and be the best version of yourself, to really embrace this and maybe even like appreciate this more. And maybe also for some of you, you had heartbreak, and it's that idea that looking back, is it healed? So this is nothing to be scared of. This is actually something that can help you move forward and to not ignore it within you. Okay, now the Empress. So the Empress is a card of fertility. It's a card of, again, like the Queen, it's someone who's so in their feminine power. It's like the ultimate mother. And for some of you, this could also be like literally a mother, but it doesn't have to be. If that doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't have to be. Because you could be the creator of something else, like a creator of a business, creator of a new chapter of your life, a dog mom, a cat mom. Okay, but what is this trying to say? I just can't help but feel all this like abundance. Like the wheat is just like that representation of there's so much, and you're very much in your receiving energy. And often, again, with feminine energy, it's the receiving energy. It's like you can sit back and you're still going to have this abundance. The water is still going to flow. For some reason, this is also calling out to me, and it's like barely in the card, but it's this idea that things are going to trickle. No, not even trickle. It's gushing. It's like things are still going to flow. You're not going to be stagnant, even if you just want to rest and sit back, because you have all this growth around you. I also think it's come from like maybe looking into this heartache. And there's just so much growth here. It's like you've already sowed the seeds, right? And you're at a point of harvest. And there's so much. You've done the hard work. You can now relax and receive. I just love this. Things will flow. Things will flow. Okay. King of Wands. It's so interesting because I think often with these cards, it can either, like with the king or the queen, it can often either represent someone in your life or it can represent you. And I actually think this is you, or for most of you at least. I know this is a general reading, but for most of you, I do think that there's this energy in you. So Wands is linked to the element of fire, and it's linked to action, taking action, doing. And a king is someone who's in charge, again, like the queen who's in charge, but it's in the more masculine energy. And so masculine energy is more of that taking action, more of the cerebral strategy always comes to mind when I think of, being a king, someone who's strategizing for war, even though it doesn't necessarily mean there's a war going on. And yeah, someone who is truly in that healthy element of the power. And yes, I wonder also, I love that it did feel a little bit like these two are together and these two are together, and this is kind of the bridge. Because maybe there's this idea that, like, yes, these are all happening to you and this is you, and it's this reminder, look at your wounds, look at the heartbreak that you've been through. And while you do this process, you're also going to come into this other energy, which is also you, which is like this sitting back and receiving because things are flowing. But there's also a part of you that wants to take action, wants to do, knows that this is the time to, really do this, like be this king of Wands. So I couldn't help but think that he is also just kind of sitting there. Like there's a little bit of like, they're both kind of sitting at the same angle. And I feel like this is like two sides of the same coin almost, like just looking at them. Because I can't help but think that like, yeah, Wands is about doing, but this guy's also kind of chilling. Like I almost, and so is this lizard. Like it's almost this idea that like, again, you've put in the hard work, you are taking action, but you don't have to be like a knight and charging forward all the time. It's like you've taken the action, you've like made the splash, and now it's just about sitting back and seeing the ripples. I hope that analogy kind of made sense, but it's like the impact has already been done and you can continue to make the impact. But it's also just about allowing it to happen. It's not the energy of like, go, go, go. It's the energy of, I'll take action when it's the right time to take action. I can be picky about it. I've come to a stage where I can be picky about this. Because also I think being in this king energy, it's like, well, one thing I'm getting is like opportunities will come to you. But also like you can filter, like you can be picky. It's okay. And I just can't, like, I just get the vibe so much of like, you can kick back and relax. It's okay. And you shouldn't feel lazy because like, I think the Wands is kind of this reminder of like, you are still taking action. You're just not charging at 1,000 miles per minute. Like, okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you're not like accelerating, keep going. It's like you're taking action, but you can go at your pace and you don't have to be as picky. Cool. I have some more cards. Let me just like move this up. I have some more cards to introduce. Okay, so the next cards, we have boundaries. My clear boundaries allow me to protect myself, nurture my intentions, and follow my true self. I love also we're talking about true self as we're also talking about the best version of yourself, because I can often feel like those are very linked. And I think, you know, your true self is very linked to maybe your soul, or like, because I do believe in souls, this idea of your higher self, your true self. So I think I just picked up on like true self, best self. To me, that's very interchangeable. For you, you might feel like that's quite different, but I just like that that popped up in this reading. But I'm going to look at all the cards before I go in individually. I embrace my body. I honor and embrace all of my body. I am receptive to her specific needs. Again, I feel like this is so linked with the Empress, because this is kind of like the energy that the Empress imbues. Love-based reality. I am soul nurtured when I support myself with friends and family who support a love-based reality. It's really nice. Also, I really love that it's like linked to the Lovers, or like that you've gotten both in this reading. Path awareness. If I sincerely ask, I am always guided back to the right path for me and to my central purpose. Oh, nice. Soul's truth. I listen to my soul's simple truths, and I allow my life to unfold naturally. These are really powerful cards. They're really sweet. They're really powerful. And I love the, what's the word? Not coordination. I guess I kind of love how they're also linked and the narrative that it's all building, because it feels so linked, all of this. And I know it's your reading, and I know that that's often what it is. It's like I'm reading the energy. But just seeing these cards pop up, I just feel like it's a very similar message, just from different angles. So let's talk about boundaries. My clear boundaries allow me to protect myself, nurture my intentions, and follow my true self. So for some of you, it could be a reminder that boundaries are important. It's important for you to have them for yourself, for your best version for yourself, and maybe this is also part of your healing. It's easy to be a people pleaser. It's easy when maybe we're scared of losing something, whether it be love or abundance, to sacrifice a part of yourself. But I guess it's that question of, are you doing it for the right reasons? Are you forsaking yourself out of fear? And I think this card has come up just as this reminder of how important boundaries are and how important it is for you to have them to protect yourself. And it could be something really good. Like you could be in this situation with a lover, and it's about maybe you would love to spend all this time with them, but then you recognize, oh no, I need alone time as well. And that could just be a simple boundary of like, okay, well, I also need alone time to do this, because I've recognized I feel better when I have alone time. So it doesn't have to be something like super scary. It can be something small about protecting yourself. And it's that idea of nurturing yourself, doing what's best for you, and to ultimately step into the best version of yourself, is to have these boundaries. I do really love the color, I have to say. The color, the tree, and the bird. Like, yeah. I just really love how vivid this is. Okay, so I embrace my body. I honor and embrace all of my body. I am receptive to her specific needs. So it is this idea of, well, one is to truly love yourself and to love yourself physically, love your body. Your body has a lot of wisdom. It's easy to not listen to it, but it's like this idea of really embracing it, loving it, showering it with so much love and intention, like good intentions, and yeah, and the growth that can come from it. That's what I really love. It like this is like a flower, but it's like that growth. And again, it is so linked to this Empress. This is the energy that's coming about. Like there's so much abundance, and all you have to do is sit back and relax. But you cannot forget to love in the process of it. Yeah, it's really powerful. I also kind of like that her hand is towards her like heart space. Love-based reality. I am soul nurtured when I surround myself with friends and family who support a love-based reality. And I think this is very much just saying lead with love. I think what's also really interesting is like this feels so dynamic. There's so much going on here, but then her face is quite like expressionless. And I think for maybe for some of you, it's like it's almost as though this is like a new practice because it hasn't fully like spread to all parts of you. And maybe for a while, like you felt a bit like shut down, or your heart hasn't quite reached your face or like reached other parts of you that shows like living in alignment. I feel like you wouldn't hide this heart love. You would be more, I guess, showing of it. So I wonder if for some of you, this is a very new experience, and maybe even for some of you, it can be a bit overwhelming. This is why I think she looks so underwhelmed. Like she like hasn't quite hit her. It's starting to happen, but it hasn't quite fully hit. But I think this is a very powerful thing that like there's so much love in your life. You get it through friends, through family, from yourself. And yeah, I hope for your sake that it fully transcends out, fully aligns. I also quite like that there's this halo behind her. Reminds me of the moon, which again represents feminine energy. For some reason, the pearls are jumping out at me. And it's almost as though, like, what I also think is quite interesting is, like, these pearls look like, I know it's just a necklace, but in this instance, it looks like that's the block. That there is something that's, like, blocking the heart space to really spread to the rest of the body. And maybe this is also seeing that it's, like, right underneath it, maybe there are some blocks here for you to really look at. And this is what this is kind of representing. It's like you feel all this love inside of you, but you are experiencing a block because it's hard for it to really transcend to the rest of you. And I think it's about really looking into these blocks so that the love can keep growing. And that is this idea of looking at your wounds, doing the inner work, really feeling into it. Okay, now, path awareness. If I sincerely ask, I'm always guided back to the right path for me and to my central purpose. In many ways, I find this card very beautiful, like the meaning of it. I mean, the artwork's nice too, but I think where I'm finding the beauty is in this message. And I think it's this idea that, you know, if you are spiritual, if you believe in a higher power, if you believe in the universe or God or whatever word resonates with you, you're not alone. Even though this can feel like a very lonely life or existence, it can. But there's so much love and abundance in your life. And I think when you are really tapped into maybe spiritually, there is another element of not feeling alone. And if you really believe that the universe believes in you and has your back and wants just the best for you. It's this idea of like, if you sincerely ask the universe, ask your subconscious, if you're more into the idea of tapping into you and your soul. And remember that you're always guided back to the right path for you and to your central purpose. It might feel like a meandering path, but if you veer off it, you will be guided back onto it. And this reminds me of an Instagram post I actually saw quite recently. I can give the name of the Instagrammer, but he does a lot of this. I'm gonna say the wrong word. Akashic records. You know, the process of like going deep into your soul and like unlocking like past life memories and things like that. I'm maybe not explaining it very well, but I'll write the name of what I'm talking about and you can go Google it. But this Instagrammer, I saw a clip of him recently say, if you ever struggle to make a decision, you can ask your subconscious to help you. So you can just say, I'm delegating this question, whatever the question may be, to my subconscious, and it will reveal to me in the appropriate time, in the appropriate way, what the answer is. And it is an interesting way of doing it. Like he was obviously very into it. I've started trying it. I've yet to see the results, but I do think that there is something there in faith, in like asking that question, asking it out loud, putting that intention out there and asking for it, and being patient for the answer. I kind of like the idea that like one eye is shining, and for me this kind of goes into like, I have this theory of like soul. I do believe we have souls, as I guess you've gathered from this reading. But we have a soul, but we also have our human self. So our soul is maybe like our higher power, you know, the wisdom that we have, this intuition. And then we have our human selves, which is more, well, our thoughts, our feelings, our wounds, our ego, our cerebral thinking mind. And it's about balancing those two, because we're here to have a human experience, but we also have a soul. So it's like really leaning into both sides. And I feel like this is what this represents. This eye is just like shining. I can't help but feel like that's the soul. And then this is the human self, but it's like they're both you. So yeah, there is beauty in this. Soul's truth. I listen to my soul's simple truths and allow my life to unfold naturally. And again, this feels so linked to what we've been saying about stepping into the best version of yourself, because I think you're here to have a life that is so aligned to your soul. And it's also about you like really focusing in and listening to your soul. And I like that it says simple truths. It's like very simple things. And it's about allowing your life to unfold naturally, not going and forcing it. Maybe this is also a little bit what I said here. There's this faith here where you are allowing your life to unfold naturally. You are taking action. You're not just sitting around saying that nothing's happening. You're taking aligned action. But you're also allowing life to unfold. I also quite like that there's this bird here. It's like an eagle. Not that there's a bird here too. Not that I know what the spiritual meaning of birds are. Maybe freedom. Maybe freedom is a very big theme for you. And it's also interesting because I'm thinking of like numerology. So collectively, we're going through a year 9 because we're in 2025. So 2 plus 2 plus 5 is 9 if you reduce it to a single number. And so the theme of a year 9 is whatever isn't serving you will fall away. And we're going through this as a collective. And it also really nicely coincides with the year of the snake, which is about shedding and transformation, like shedding the skin. But the reason I bring up numerology wasn't the year 9, it's that we also go through personal personal year numbers. So how you figure that out is that you take your birth date and the birth month, and you add them together, and then you plus it to 9, because, like I said, 2025 is a 9. If you're watching this a different year, it would be the total of whatever that year is. But yeah, so you add your birth date, your birth month, and then the year that we're currently in, and then you get your personal year number. And for me, I'm actually going through year 5, and 5 is all about, it's like represents the traveler. It's to expect the unexpected, like anything can happen unexpectedly. And also 5 is very linked to freedom in whatever whatever definition it is for you. So, it could be like financial freedom, time freedom, freedom if you're in a relationship. Like, what do you deem as freedom in those scenarios? Work, abundance, yeah. So I guess if people are experiencing, you don't necessarily have to be going through a year 5 to be questioning freedom, but it's just this idea of what are the themes of freedom. But also the spiritual meaning of a bird can have many different meanings. So if you also feel inclined to Google it, you could Google and always take what resonates with you. But I have more cards. So let's do this. So we have self-worth, elevate. You get what you believe you deserve. It's time to raise your standards. Oh, this also feels very linked to the boundaries. But I'm gonna look at all the cards and then we'll go in. Power. The ability to suck it up is not a superpower. Saying no is. Own your power. I love that. Really strong. Sovereign. Oh, like the queen and the king. And I guess the empress. You are the queen of your life. Treat yourself like royalty. Oh, I love that. So I can't help but feel like elevate and sovereign. Well, power as well. It's all about elevating your power and your sovereign, your self-worth. So this also feels like really linked. But going back to this, so I feel like the universe is saying you need to raise your self-worth here. You need to really elevate this. You get what you believe you deserve. It's time to raise your standards. I can't help but feel like this is so linked to boundaries, and I know it just came underneath it. And also, I guess the colors, I kind of like that it's not the same shade, I see that, but also this orb. It's a little linked. I like seeing those patterns. If you believe you're not going to reach this, maybe you're watching this reading and thinking, this all sounds great, but it's very aspirational. Can I actually get this? If you doubt that you can get this, that will be your reality. And I know it's easier said than done. I know it's well, I don't know how to get there. I don't know how to be there. But a lot of it can start in the mind. A lot of it can start as a mindset shift. And I am a big believer that our minds are so powerful. And if you really believe you are worthy of all this, and this can take time to really embody it and feel it. But this is also what they say the power of manifesting is. It's really stepping into that energy maybe before you have it and knowing that it's time. So the universe is really saying it's time to raise your standards. You might not believe in yourself, but believe that the universe believes in yourself and believe that this is a message for you to raise your standards. And that could come from putting in boundaries that felt difficult before. You weren't really sure if they were mean or not. But this is basically saying, if you feel you deserve this, raise your standards. And also, it comes from a sense of self-worth, of really loving yourself, which is something we've really talked about here. It's like, there's so much love in your life. Most importantly is to love yourself and believe that your self-worth is so important. Because if you have a high self-worth, you just move through the world in a very different way. And you're worth it. Power. So I guess this is also very linked to what we've been discussing. The ability to suck it up is not a superpower. Saying no is. Own your power. I feel like I had to also redeem myself for kind of messing up reading it the first time. But yeah, it's so easy to just be told, suck it up. Or like one example that's coming to me is like, when you're feeling really emotional about something and maybe someone just dismisses it or says like, now's not the time or place, suck it up, keep moving. This happens. Heartbreak happens. Blockages happen. It's okay to feel. It's okay to have these big emotions. I'm not saying you should have these big emotions and then just blame it all on your big emotions. It's good to feel the emotions, but you do have to hit a point where you're like, okay, but what am I going to do about this? How am I going to take action? How am I going to heal? Do I want to be stuck here? Do I want to be stuck here and not fully ever feel connected to this heart space, to this love that is like such a gorgeous feeling, so like so much warmth. And I think this is just this idea that stop sucking it up. But this also very much feels like a people-pleasing tendency. You're sucking it up because you're told that it wasn't safe to say what you meant or to really feel into this emotion. And it's okay to say no. Or yes, whatever I think it's like saying yes to yourself. It's okay to ask for what you want. And there's power in that. And this also can come with boundaries. Because boundaries is saying yes to some things and no to other things. And I keep thinking about this quote that I saw. I think I saw it on Instagram. And it was Elon Musk's first wife. So I know he's a very controversial figure. Almost don't want to like bring up this story just because it's linked to him, but he didn't say this. But it was his first wife, and I'm sorry I don't remember her name. But basically the story was that she was doing this talk and she said that Elon Musk says no to a lot of things. And what she quickly realized was that when he was saying no to something, he was saying yes to something else. He was saying yes to himself. He was putting his time and energy into things that he felt was worth his time, was worth his energy. And although, yeah, he's a very controversial figure, like I said, almost don't want to bring up the story, but I think the theory behind it, there's something important. And it's that idea of boundaries, of you saying yes to yourself, of you having that power. And like, don't feel like you have to be this good girl just to be liked. Because if you were, would you ever feel happy with yourself? Maybe societally you would be like, oh yeah, but I'm a good girl. But on a soul level, are you happy? Is that really your soul's truth? Is that part of your path? Might not be. So I think you need to know yourself. And sometimes it can feel like, oh, I'm rocking the boat. People aren't going to like me. But then you have to ask, like, but in the grand scheme of things, how's that going to impact my life? Like, does it really matter if these people don't like me? And I know you want to be liked. Like, that's inherent as a human being. But I also kind of think that, should that really stop you Should that really stand in the way of your soul's truth or your path? This one individual? Now, I also wanted to kind of note that I know there's a lot of good girl and things like that, and these cards are maybe more geared towards a female audience. However, I think the message is the same. So whatever you identify as, the message is the same. Okay, so sovereign. Let's have a look. You are the queen of your life. Treat yourself like royalty. And I can't help but feel that's the queen here. That's the empress. It's this idea of receiving. Again, it's like sitting back, receiving, embracing being in this queen energy. Embracing your body, embracing the feminine. Again, doesn't matter what gender you are, it's energy. Being in a feminine energy, being in the masculine energy. And like there is like, yes, you do have this masculine energy, like we all have both. But I think this is very much this idea of treating yourself, having high standards, knowing your self-worth. You are a queen. You've always been a queen. You maybe haven't always believed it, but you have that in you. Again, the hearts. There's just so many hearts here. This whole reading, like I know, okay, that one looks painful, but still a heart. And I think this is such a beautiful message to end on, because this has been such a theme throughout the reading. You are a queen or a ruler, whatever resonates, a king, whatever resonates. But know that you are royalty. Know that you deserve your dreams, your aspirations. Believe in yourself. Believe you can get what you want. You wouldn't have these dreams and desires if you couldn't achieve them. And I know that maybe sounds ridiculous to some people, but I do truly believe there's a reason why we have these dreams. And we can achieve them. And a lot of it starts with you. It starts with loving yourself, believing in yourself, knowing your power, and just treating yourself like royalty. You do truly believe it. You do truly deserve it. And I wish that you will truly believe it. And that is today's reading. I hope it resonated. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Would love to hear if you have any comments down below, and hopefully catch you in an upcoming reading. So thank you so much again. Bye. Hi everyone, welcome to pile 3. So if you picked this pile, this is your reading. I've mentioned it in the intro, but I'll mention it here just in case people skip the intro, which fair, happens. This reading is going to be about how to step into the best version of yourself. And so what I mean by best version of yourself here is what feels most aligned to you, what feels expansive and abundant. And today's reading can shed a light on maybe if you have any blockages, or maybe it will explain a little bit of like, this is the version that you aspire to be. And maybe you'll feel like deep down, this is a part of me that I feel is there. It just hasn't quite come to the surface, or I can't quite reach it. So yeah, it'll be exciting to kind of dive deeper into the reading and see what it says. So for those of you who have picked this pile, this is an amethyst, which is quite a good like all-rounder stone. So sometimes if you're just getting into crystals, an amethyst can be a really good choice, particularly because they are really good on all fronts. So it can promote like physical well-being, mental well-being, and even spiritual well-being. But yeah, it's a very good all-rounder. But let's get into your cards. So we have Justice, Six of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles, Four of Pentacles. Okay, we got them in a row here. Also mainly Pentacles. So Pentacles, or yeah, mainly Pentacles. Pentacles represent the earthly realm, particularly can be money, doesn't have to be, can also be more like things, like tangible things. But yes, let's dive into this and see what it says. So the Justice card. I think the first thing that came to that I really noticed was the scales. And obviously I know justice has to do with finding that balance. For some reason, this green is really reaching, is really speaking to me. And I kind of like that there's arrows down. What does that mean? It also kind of reminds me of a snake a little bit, which for those of you who might not know, 2025 is in Chinese zodiac is the year of the snake. And what that represents is it's a year of transformation and shedding old skin. And maybe for some of you, that's really prevalent, that you have to shed the old in order to embrace the new and find this inner balance between new and old, but also removing the shedding of the old. And that also fits in really nicely with numerology. So on a numerology perspective, we are in a year 9, a collective year 9, because, well, it's 2025 now. So 2 + 2 + 5 is a 9. When you add it all up into a single digit, it's a 9. And again, the 9 also represents this idea of shedding, this idea that what doesn't serve you will fall away. And that is a very big theme collectively. And you might be really feeling it this year. We also have personal year numbers, where if you add up your birth date and your birth month with the year, you will get your personal year number. And maybe for some of you, you're also going through a year 9. So I think there's this idea of shedding, of balancing this, maybe also kind of discovering this new version of you as you're shedding the old and understanding the new. And it's finding that new balance between, I guess, kind of straddling the old and the new, while also shedding the old. But I guess what remains is finding that balance. So now the Six of Pentacles. It is a little bit hard to see because the card is so small. But, this is the traditional tarot illustrations. It's just done in 8-bit. But that's why it's kind of hard to see. But what is actually going on here is that this person is seeing these two people begging and giving them money. And again, the scales. Those are scales, aren't they? Well, they look like scales. I know it's hard to see, but they look like scales. And maybe, I guess there's about finding some balance here. I wonder if for some of you, you feel like you are the beggars. Not to actually come right out say you're beggars, but maybe in the sense that you maybe feel like you live in a scarce mentality, with a scarce mentality, and a scarcity mindset. And it's this idea that things are never enough, that there's no abundance, that there's always the sense of things could be better. Or it maybe not things could be better, but more the sense that things are scarce. You don't live in abundance. And I guess you feel like you have to take other people's charity. And I wonder if, yeah, you're kind of wanting to find more of the balance of that. Like, you don't always want to have to be these people. But I wonder, for some of you, you just feel like you've been here in this groveling mode for so long. And it kind of fits in very nicely with this, because the Five of Pentacles, it's these two people who are homeless, or like they're looking for shelter. And again, it carries that scarcity mentality. And like, this is supposed to be like a window that it's glowing. Glowing in the sense like there's candles on inside, and you can feel like there's this warmth inside, but then these people are out in the snow looking for shelter. And I can't help but feel that that kind of has come into here. Like, I kind of like that all of them have like a bit of a theme, that like, here we have the scales that translate here. Here we have the people that translate here. And again, I know maybe I'm jumping a bit too fast to this one, but this is often a card that represents someone who is holding on so tightly to money, like is very, what's the word? Stingy. Like someone who, you get this abundance and you just feel like you're holding on and you don't want to let go, because maybe you have this belief that, oh, you have the scarcity mindset. So you have a belief that you won't get more, or more won't come. You have to hold on to what you have. And I wonder if this is blocking you. This is blocking you from being able to step into the best version of yourself. I also think for some of you, you feel like I mentioned earlier, this warmth inside. It feels so close. It feels like it's at arm's reach, yet you feel so shut out and far, but you are so close to it. And I wonder if for some of you, you feel like holding on to what you have is the answer to get to this warmth. But I don't know if it is the answer for you, because you're here and you don't know how to get to this window, like inside, to the inside. And you've been trying to hold on to the money, or this feeling of abundance, or you've been trying to hold on to this money because you believe that it will bring abundance, but yet you're not there. And this is why I don't think this is the answer, even though you believe it is. I have more cards for you, so let's see. Okay. The flow of partnership. The ebb and flow of the relationships, or the ebb and flow of relationship takes me where I need to be next on my path. Oh, interesting. So I'm just going to look at all the cards before we dive in individually. My creative power. As I invest in my own creative potential, sorry, let me start again. As I invest in my own creative potential, I experience my female creative genius. So I do want to say, like, these cards are meant for like a female audience, but whatever gender you identify as, the concept is all the same. The theories behind it are all the same. Soul's journey. Living from soul opens me to the magic that exists when I surrender to divine manifestation on its own terms and timing. That was really beautiful. So let's see how this all kind of comes together. I do think, like, I know I've been saying this, but I do think your biggest block into stepping into your best self is your scarcity mindset. And maybe this is something that you feel the need to have to shed, because right now you don't feel balanced and you want balance. And also, I guess there is a bit of the sense of justice. And I can't help but feel like the power, like holding this, the sword, holding it is like, this is so powerful. And I think there's a part of you that wants to be this powerful person. And like take power in any definition that resonates with you, because you could feel powerful from having money, or you could feel powerful by being the person that makes the decisions. And yes, I can understand that if you make the decisions, you could get more money. But whatever power resonates with you and that makes you feel like this person, that's what I'm saying in this reading. And I think there's this aspiration to get here, but you have to shed. And this is kind of this reminder of where you kind of feel like you're at, and you're feeling the struggle of it. So going into here, the flow of partnership, the ebb and flow of relationship takes me where I need to be next on my path. And I do wonder if this is kind of like this, because it's quite interesting that there are two people. And I wonder if I think there's this idea, because this person's alone, and I wonder if it's this idea that you maybe feel... I think this is kind of saying that it's okay for you not to do everything alone. Or like, it's okay for you to rely on others. I think that's more the important message. Because you might not actually be alone, or like, you might like romantically be with someone. But it's this idea that maybe you feel to get into this window, you have to do it yourself. And I think this is kind of this card is a reminder of lean on other people. Trust other people to help you. Ask for help. And I wonder, it says the ebb and flow of relationship take me where I need to be next on my path. Maybe you've experienced a lot of people coming into your life and then flowing out of your life. And it's a little bit of that idea of, people are in your life for a reason, a season, or forever. And I don't know how deeply you want to really think about it, but maybe the ebb and flow relationship is kind of saying that, some people come into your life for a reason, and lean on them. Even if it's not forever, maybe it's just a season, but lean on them. And I think I also quite like that, like, the gold in her hair and the gold in her earrings. Like, I think there's a lot of magic here in this card. Also, I can't help but like seeing her background. It's very passionate. It's like a very passionate card. But it's also quite magical in the sense, like, this feels the opposite of this. Like, this is like warm, passionate, abundant, magic. This is cold. This is feeling shut out. And I think it's just a reminder of really leaning into relationships. And maybe not overthinking, like, oh, is this person going to be in my life forever? Can I open up to them? Maybe don't think of it like that. Maybe just think like, this is where I am in my life right now, and I trust what's best for me will stay. And maybe this is also where the shedding is. Maybe there's also a point where you have to shed old friendships and be okay with them kind of not being in your life anymore. And that can be very upsetting. But maybe this is part of the shedding. And just looking now, like how these snakes, or it looks like arrows, are pointing here. And know that it's all for your best. It's all aligned to your best self and your path. I also kind of feel like this is a very passionate card. There's quite like, it looks like a little flame there, even though I know it's maybe other things. But there's something about this card that just feels really passionate. And maybe, like I said, this feels so cold, this feels so warm. Lean into the passion. If it feels expansive to you and enlightening, lean into that. I think there's like a lot of you that needs to hear this, and also needs to know how encouraging this is, and how it's such a big yes to lean into this. Because it is going to help you go further. And yeah, it's okay to lean on other people. Okay, so my creative power. As I invest in my own creative potential, I experience my female creative genius. I think what really drew me first is how this half moon is on the third eye. And the third eye often represents intuition. And I wonder if, like, for a lot of you, you are intuitively creative. Is that even a thing? But like this idea that your creativity is so innate in you. And the more you create and more you tap into this power, the more you get out of it. So I think this is what it is. Like, the more I invest in my own creative potential, I experience my creative genius. So it's encouraging you to really tap into this third eye, this creativity, and know that a lot of growth will come from it. Like, these flowers are growing. There's so much flow in it. So yeah, I think the more you create, the more you do, the more you will feel not rewarded, but the results of it and what really comes through from that. I do think these flowers are very beautiful, and it just represents so much growth and so much beauty as well. And here, soul's journey. Living from soul opens me to the magic that exists when I surrender to divine manifestation on its own terms and timing. I think, as we're saying, like stepping into your best self, a lot of it is stepping into that soul purpose. So my theory is, I believe we have souls. I believe, our soul is our true self, our higher self, I should say, maybe more. Well, yeah, also true self. I think they're a little bit interchangeable. But then we also have our human self. And our human self is our emotions, our wounds, our thoughts, our cerebral thinking, our intellect, but also our ego. And I think, our best self is very aligned to our soul self, but it also is very, it's very much about the balance between those two. Like, I don't think we can just do our soul and forget about the human side of us, because our human side of us is very real as well. We're here to have a human experience. And then the other way, if you only think and you don't listen to your intuition or you don't listen to your body, you're not listening to your soul. And the two have to exist in tandem, this balance between the two. And so here, living from soul, I think there's this encouragement of maybe you've been living too much in your head. Maybe you've been too much into the human side, and tap more into your soul. And a lot of that could be just tapping into your body more, sitting more with your intuition, what feels right, what resonates. So I think this is also this reminder of, don't forget your soul. Through this, don't forget your soul. Living from soul opens me to the magic that exists when I surrender to divine manifestation. And this also has to do with, spirituality, of surrender, of knowing that the higher power, whatever you believe in, if it's God, if it's the universe, has your back, wants the best for you. And so it's about the inner work of tuning into your intuition and your soul and your body, and also surrendering and believing that the universe has your back, and that what you want to manifest into this life can and will happen. It's like believing in that. And I know it says on its own terms and timing, but that is also the faith you must have in the universe that what you want will come. And I do believe you have to take aligned action. And I do believe that a mindset shift is one of the biggest impacts we can have on our life. It's like seeing if the glass is half full or half empty. That's a mindset shift. And when you see things with such abundance and positivity, it can really change the outlook of your life. And I don't want to say that you cannot be realistic or you have to live in a fairyland, because you don't. You can still be realistic, but maybe believe in better. Believe that there's so much good and love around you. I do really love that there's these butterflies. Again, that's like transformation that we're seeing with the snake shedding. Obviously, there's this swan, which is very beautiful. I also really like just how like at peace this woman is. Okay, I have more cards. Okay, so I'm just gonna move these up so I make space for the new cards. Okay, so we have action. Love that we were kind of just saying like you take action or aligned action. Baby steps are still steps, and they're better than standing still. I feel like a lot of you had to hear that. Shine. Yeah, this feels, I love that this is right above here. This, my creative power. Don't dim your light. The world needs your unique talents and gifts. Shine brightly. Calm. Oh, again, I love that it was under here. So maybe for each of them. Calm. A breakdown is often followed by a breakthrough. Remain calm. Okay, so let's look at them all individually first. I do love that these are both nature scenes. I guess we have the sun there. And the sun in tarot often represents your authentic self. So it's a bit of this idea of like taking action to reach your authentic self, which is what this reading is all about, how to be the best version of yourself. Baby steps are still steps, and they're better than standing still. I feel like a lot of you had to hear this. And I wonder if it's a little bit of this surrender that we were talking about here. It's like, it can feel, or here as well, it can feel like you're so far away from what you actually want. But know that if you take aligned action with your soul and you tap into your creative power, because this I think is so innate in you. I think this is like part of why you're here, if that's so bold to say. You're here to create in whatever capacity that looks like for you, like what in whatever capacity resonates with you. And it's this idea that, yeah, you have to, even if it feels slow, even if it's a small step, it's better than standing still. And it's encouraging you to keep taking action. Like, it's important to rest as well, but I think for you, it's more a good reminder to keep on going. So shine. Don't dim your light. The world needs your unique talents and gifts. Shine brightly. Again, it's so linked to this because I do definitely think that you are here to share your creation. Share you and whatever that output looks like. And I can't help also but feel that like this is so linked. So I think this is the universe saying, like, don't forget to shine. And then we have calm. I do love that this is almost like the night and then the day. A breakdown is often followed by a breakthrough. Remain calm. So maybe for some of you, again, this did show struggle. And I also think that when you're shedding, it can be overwhelming, and it can maybe feel a little bit like breaking down because you're breaking down what was fundamentally parts of you that no longer serve you. And that's not always easy. And that also doesn't always happen like really neatly, like, okay, well, I don't really like that I do this. Now it's gone. So, not to scare anyone, but if a breakdown happens, know that this is for your good. Know that this is something that's bringing you closer on your soul journey. And when it happens, it's like going through the night and you have this North Star. So when you feel this breakdown, so I think it's because this is a sun. So this is supposed to be the breakthrough, right? So if you think of a breakdown as nighttime and you don't know when the sun is going to shine again, it feels hard. But you have a North Star. Your North Star is to create, because creation is your saving grace here. It's so integral to you. And it's this idea that you can remain calm, even though a breakthrough is tough. And I feel that, they're hard, but they can be so rewarding. And the only way sometimes is through. And once you make it through the night, the sun will rise again. And it's this idea of, I think, surrendering and having faith that the sun will come again. That even though you're experiencing a breakdown, know that a breakthrough is around the corner, and to remain calm. And I think for you, like I keep saying, remaining calm is also creating. But this is how you feel you can step into your best version of yourself. It's really having that mindset shift, believing that the people in your life are in your life for a reason, and it's to help you towards your next path. So there's a lot of change happening, but it's all for the better, and it's all part of your soul's journey. But really, it's to keep taking action, is to keep shining bright and being you, because the world needs this. The world needs you. And I know that can sound really grand, and you think little old me. But yes. And the sun will rise again. Whenever you go through a long night, know that the sun will always rise again. Always. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This was your reading, Pile 3. I hope that it resonated. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And yeah, I hope to see you in an upcoming reading. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Bye!